we are we are back here at Flutterflies TV. I am your host Alexandra Velez. Extremely excited to be here, sharing some information. We're here with my guest Beth Fetini, Director of Green Inside and Out, sharing her expertise. She's going to let us know a little bit. As many of you have noticed, there's been a lot of natural disasters taking place, and she's going to share some insight on her thoughts on maybe are we creating them, or are these really just something that it's just happening around the world. But please be sure to continue every Wednesday at this time, 8 p.m. to tune in to the Descúbrete y Lánzate and watch our Flutterflies channel, where we aim to inspire and motivate you. Please be sure to use the hashtags Real People, Real Talk. Here, Beth, so I was looking, it's a scary world right now. There's a lot of natural disasters. So last night I was like, is it just me that I think there's so many things going on? But I came across a website that actually has some valuable information, but also when you start reading and really see facts after facts and data, it's kind of scary what's happening in our world. So some of the natural disasters going back to 2018, there's been some really extremely European heat waves that hit in 2018 that broke out in Greece. It was one of the second deadliest wildfires in the Japan floods that killed almost 300 people. We've had earthquakes, tsunamis in Indonesia that killed over 2,000 people. The wildfires in California, the recent disasters in Australia, and of course, all of these disasters have been hitting Puerto Rico, my beautiful island, back to back. So many of us think, or many people think, that this is the end of the world. We're paying for the abuse that we've done to our earth. Or what do you think? Do you think they might be right, or is it something that we're provoking, man is provoking these earthquakes, or we're just paying for the abuse?
That's an interesting question. Well, there are certain natural disasters that I think human activity contributes to. With earthquakes, I don't know so much if we're contributing to that. However, because of the hydrofracking of natural gas, I've heard that there have been small earthquakes even in the United States because of that, because we're extracting from deep underneath the earth to take out the gas. But in terms of things like the wildfires, hurricanes, those are being related to climate change because, so for example, hurricanes are, when the water in the ocean becomes really warm, it gathers a lot of energy. So even though every year we might have cycles of hurricanes, that's a natural occurrence. What's happening is those hurricanes are lasting longer, they're becoming stronger, and it's due to the fact that there's so much heat in the ocean, which is being caused by so much carbon in the atmosphere, which we can clearly relate to the use of so many fossil fuels, and which releases carbon and methane and things like that into the atmosphere, and they trap heat.
Okay, so even here on Long Island, I've been noticing we get a lot of strong winds, and I've just been seeing the difference in the last couple of years. I mean, I lived in Puerto Rico for about 11 years, so I love the heat. I love the warmth, right? We've had an extremely warm winter for the last couple of years. This, I think if we got like an inch or two this year, it was a lot. So do you think it's because we're really damaging our earth, and this is why we're having these, we enjoy the warm weather, but it's not natural?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So there are predictions that say that the climate of New York in 50 years might be almost like the climate of Georgia. So that has impacts on our agriculture systems, and it definitely has big impacts. And like you mentioned earlier with California, with when they get droughts and the land is very dry, that's perfect fodder for wildfires, which may naturally occur. They come and go, but they spread like wildfire because the land is so dry, and it's from changes in the climate because of the global warming.
And that's funny that you mentioned that we will have warmer weather here in New York.
Mhm.
So when I was in seventh grade, I like to say this story. When I was in seventh grade a few years ago, my teacher, my science teacher, Mr. Bob from St. Francis Cabrini, he mentioned, and we're going back quite a few years, that our weather, he referred it to Florida.
Mhm.
And now you see how we have warm winters,
Mhm.
and then in Florida, they see some snow, they have to wear a heavier jacket. So we are seeing the change and the damage that we've done to our climate, to our atmosphere, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of Florida, they're on the front lines of sea level rise. Because as the sea warms, it also expands, and the glaciers are melting. It seems like something way off in the distance. Who cares about that? But it's making the level of the sea rise, and we have cities like Miami and New York and many others right on the coast, and they're having to deal with this, to keep the ocean at bay, basically.
Amazing.
So yeah, mitigation efforts. It's going to be expensive. So when people say, "Oh, it's too expensive to do renewables and this that," well, it's going to be expensive to clean up after things like we saw Hurricane Sandy, how much it
Right.
cost us in lives and money.
Absolutely. So we're here again, my friends, with Beth Fetini from Green Inside and Out through Descúbrete y Lánzate TV. Please be sure to tune in every Wednesday where we'll share information, valuable information regarding real people, real issues. Please stay tuned as we'll talk about with Beth, can we still save our earth? Is there still a chance? We'll be right back.